Yeah, obviously excited. She's electric, can score at all three levels, obviously a bucket getter. So looking to assist her a lot, space the floor, get her open looks.
The security guard's torch beam froze him in place, catching the slight, trembling figure of an 18-year-old black teenager crouched behind a catering table at the Indianapolis Convention Center. His hollow cheeks and loosely hanging clothes telling a story of hardship long before he said a word. His fingers gripping a crumpled flyer for Caitlin Clark's charity gala as though it were a lifeline. It was March 2025, and while hundreds of donors in glittering gowns and sleek suits mingled in, the ballroom just meters away, celebrating generosity and community spirit, the person who perhaps needed help more than anyone else was hiding in the shadows, too proud, too accustomed to rejection, to ask for what he desperately needed. And what you are about to understand is how easily someone can slip through society's cracks, and how profoundly life can change when just one person chooses to look past appearances and truly see another human being. The Caitlin Clark Foundation's annual fundraising gala was already in full swing inside, the soft chime of champagne flutes and low conversation filling the room as Indianapolis's most influential figures gathered to support youth sport programs across the city. Caitlin, wearing an elegant navy dress, moved through the crowd with effortless warmth, thanking donors and sharing stories about young people whose lives had been transformed by access to coaching, equipment, and opportunity, and by this point the event had raised more than $200,000. Money that would change hundreds of futures. What no one knew was that just beyond the kitchen doors, 17-year-old Marcus Johnson, though he had recently turned 18, he still looked painfully young, was watching her through a crack in the service entrance, his dark eyes filled with a mixture of hope, fear, and longing. Marcus had been homeless for 8 months, ever since aging out of the foster system on his 18th birthday, handed a plastic bag of belongings and a perfunctor. Luck before being pushed into a world with no safety net. His backpack now held everything he owned. 2 worn outfits, a battered basketball that had followed him through 12 foster homes, and a notebook filled with hand-drawn plays he'd scribbled down in shelters to keep his mind from breaking under the weight of instability. He had discovered Caitlin during her Iowa days, watching her late-night matches on the small television at the community center he visited to escape the chaos of whichever foster home he was in at the time. Something in her fearless shooting, her refusal to shrink from pressure, had lit a spark in him during years when hope felt like an unaffordable luxury. The gala flyer had been posted at the center weeks earlier, and Marcus memorized every word, imagining himself meeting his hero, just long enough for her to sign the basketball he carried everywhere. He tried to buy a ticket, but even the cheapest was $300. More money than he'd seen in months, so he'd done what he had learned to do to survive the system. He found another way. He arrived at the convention center 3 hours early, watched the catering lorries unload through the service entrance, and when a delivery truck briefly blocked the security camera, he slipped inside, his heart racing as he navigated the back corridors until he found a spot where he could watch through a narrow gap into the glittering ballroom. For 2 hours he crouched behind crates of linens and boxes of glassware, catching small glimpses of Caitlin as she greeted guests. His stomach tightening with the ache of admiration mixed with the painful awareness of how far her world was from his own. What Marcus didn't realize was that he had chosen a hiding place directly in the path of the final catering delivery of the night. And when the security guard made his routine sweep, the torchlight washed over Marcus's frightened face, transforming his fragile dream into a nightmare. "Hey, you can't be back here," the guard barked, authority dripping from his tone. "This is a private event. How did you get in?" Marcus scrambled up, clutching his backpack to his chest, fear rising like a wave. "I'm sorry, sir. I wasn't stealing anything. I just wanted to see Caitlin Clark. I'll leave now." The commotion drew caterers, staff, and organizers until he found himself surrounded, dwarfed by adults staring at him as though he were a threat rather than a scared, hungry teenager. "We need to call the police," an event coordinator snapped, already unlocking her phone. "He could be dangerous. We can't have homeless people sneaking into charity events." Marcus's face burned with humiliation. He wasn't dangerous, just invisible. But before the call connected, a calm yet authoritative voice cut through the murmurs. "Hold on, what's going on here?" Caitlin had stepped into the service hallway, her expression shifting from confusion to concern when she saw Marcus's tear-rimmed eyes and trembling hands. Please, Marcus whispered, his voice cracking. I wasn't trying to cause trouble. I just wanted to see you. Just once. The coordinator opened her mouth to speak, but Caitlin raised her hand, silencing everyone. She approached Marcus slowly, as though approaching someone who had been hurt too many times. What's your name? She asked gently. Marcus, he whispered. Marcus Johnson. She nodded, her eyes softening. Marcus, you're coming with me. No one is calling the police. The staff hesitated, but Caitlin's voice held no room for debate. She led Marcus away from the crowd and into a quieter hallway, offering him a bottle of water and a chair. Over the next 20 minutes, Marcus told her everything about aging out of foster care, sleeping behind bus stations, sketching basketball plays to stay hopeful, and watching her videos at the community center to remind himself that pressure doesn't have to break you. Caitlin listened, truly listened, her heart tightening at the sheer weight this boy had carried alone. She didn't offer pity, she offered dignity. And within an hour, Marcus wasn't being escorted out by security. He was sitting beside Caitlin at the gala, introduced as her guest. What happened next would shape his life. She arranged temporary housing through the Foundation's emergency support program, connected him with an outreach mentor, and enrolled him in a youth coaching initiative where he could help younger players while training himself. For the first time in years, Marcus slept indoors without fear. In the months that followed, he regained weight, completed his GED courses, and became a fixture in the Foundation's programs, inspiring younger kids with his resilience. Caitlin didn't just give him a moment, she gave him a beginning. And Marcus, in return, reminded everyone at the Foundation.
During the show with plus points, my question's for Paige. I'm curious, when the draft lottery happened, you weren't 100% guaranteed to go to number one.
Caitlin appeared quietly in the doorway, drawn by the tense voices and the unmistakable distress filtering through the service corridor. And in a single glance, she understood everything. The frightened teenager cornered by adults who saw only a problem, the security guard's hand hovering over his radio, the uncertainty in the air thick enough to touch. Yet what truly caught her attention was the basketball Marcus held against his chest, its surface worn nearly flat from years of practice and hope, and the way his eyes instantly brightened with recognition when he saw her, as though she were the single safe place in an unfamiliar world. What's going on here? She asked, her tone steady, carrying the quiet authority of someone who had spent years navigating high-pressure moments. The guard explained that Marcus had been found hiding in the service area without a ticket and would be escorted out. But Caitlin's gaze remained fixed on the boy's face, not with suspicion, but with genuine curiosity and concern. When she gently asked for his name, Marcus whispered it, apologizing softly, explaining that he had only ever dreamed of watching her play live and thought standing in the back, unnoticed, would do no harm. But instead of agreeing to have him removed, Caitlin asked the question that changed the room's energy entirely. Marcus, when was the last time you had a proper meal? A question that revealed not only hunger but the instability and loneliness he carried. His answer, yesterday morning at a shelter, and nowhere to go the night before, shifted the air.